telling us about the time that you guys went up camping and then missed the movement, missed the ship. What happened there? That time you guys went up on the hill.
No, we was when we came back from the war was over, we got on a transport. And the transport was supposed to come back to the States, but it didn't. It went back down to the Philippines. And they unloaded everybody off.
Yeah.
Because the Japs, the Koreans, whatever the hell they was, whoever was killing the Japs, and they didn't want that to happen, and the war was over. So they sent that ship back over to haul them back to Japan, and they dumped us on the beach.
Right.
So after a while, there you get bored with a damn place and watching what's going on. And the Coast Guard, when they got their thing to go back to the States, they threw all new clothes. And they threw all the other clothes in the barracks.
Huh.
So buddy of mine was pretty clothes. How about we get some of them clothes and take them over and sell them? We can eat chicken and we can do this, that, and the other thing. I said, I'd like to go over and stay overnight up in the mountains. He said, I can do that. He was down North Carolina. So we got up a bunch of stuff and we waited across the we got over there and we got chicken, we got this, we could get beer and they get steal the meal and turn around and sell it. We get beer, we get something to eat. Finally, we're walking up through the hill, we go higher up the mountain. You can look out on what's going on. And first thing you know, somebody put a flashlight on for light. Get that damn thing out of here, you're going to get us caught. He said, you are caught. Right, put that light on it.
This is the shore patrol?
Yeah, MP. Yeah, MP and shore patrol. Finally, they must have been up there was about 6 of them. I told my buddy, I said, these mattresses, these pillows and stuff, we got to get rid of them. When they say forward march, leave them on the ground. Take them over. So that's what we did. Got back over. They asked us what we're doing with the mattress and stuff like that. I said, we're going up in the hills and sleep. Camp up in the hills. Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. So anyway, they said forward march. It was about 65. We get back over to the camp where they had a stockade. They bring us in there, they line us all up, and they have piss full, and we go out and piss in a square box in the ground. And they do that 3 or 4 times, and they finally, the officer said, okay, let's cut those out, let's take the hell out of it, and get them to bed, put them to bed. So the one guy there said, oh, by the way, he said, we had a couple of campers that was up there. We got 2 campers. He said, yeah, where they at? He said, they're in the group. He said, the ones with where's the guys with mattresses? We're looking around. There ain't no mattress no more. They finally called. Come on, let's get the hell out of here. Let's go to bed. So the officers told us get into bed. And you want to go to night and you go out and piss yourself. You don't have somebody to tell you when to do it and how to do it. So next day, we're going to have Captain's Mass. Captain's Mass. So we go in there. All the guys that were caught over hill, Caribou Gulch, they used to call it. Stream went down to there. You're going to put on 15 days here. You're not leaving on any transport out of here for 15 days. Okay, 15 days. We've already been here about 15, so what? So anyway, what we had to do, we had to make up chow for the guys, like breakfast, open cans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Go back and forth, see your buddy, come back. We got to eat first and everything, but you couldn't go on any liberty. There was no liberty.
Yeah.
So anyway, after about another 10 days, they got word that we're going back. They gave us the name of the ships going back on, and I went to see the guy, yeoman or whatever it was. He said, "You ain't going nowhere." I said, "What do you mean, good? I ain't going nowhere." I said, "Who the hell are you to tell me that?" And I'm starting to argue, screaming. And the officer opened the door and says, "What the hell is going on out here?" I said, "Well, I came here to be nice about it, to let him know that I wanted to get on that ship to go back to the States. And he told me I can't go." My name's on a thing to go back to the States. I don't have any papers or anything with me to prove it. He said, "You don't need any papers. You get your ass on that ship and leave here. You've done enough. You've been over here for almost 3 years. So he's a nice guy." And he said, "Don't pay attention to that guy. He's just a yeoman." So anyway, when time come, I got as much clothes as I could carry with me. And I did. I got on a ship. And I left Philippines, and I met up with a guy from Baltimore, Maryland, and he was a first-class machinist. So I didn't gamble, but he did, and they used to steal his money. When he put his money to go gambling, he'd hide his money, and they would come and steal it while he was down gambling. He said, "Duffy," says, "why don't you watch my money for me?" He said, "If you want to use it, go ahead, but he says, better than having them steal it from me." I said, "Yeah, I'll watch him." So I'm up on deck there and laying around. I got his money. He come up, he said, "Give me 25, give me 50, 60. Then sometime he'd come up with $100 and put it away. So he's from Baltimore, Maryland. And we got into Pearl Harbor. And I didn't have any money. I told him what happened to me. He said, "Well, I'll lend you $100. So we can go on the beach together." Okay. So I said, "I know a couple girls that were in the States when we were flying the airplanes. I flew with them one time. And there's about 6 of them over here that I know." I said, would you want to go out for dinner with them?" He said, "I'm a married man." I said, "I asked if you wanted to go out for dinner. That's all you're going to do is eat dinner." So anyway, I called them up and they said, "Yeah, we'd love to go." So we met them. We went to the restaurant. We ate and talked. And I met them in near San Francisco. We got a hop on a plane, C-47.
Yeah.
C-47 has a heater going down the center of the thing. It's cold as hell. So these girls has got, shoes on with socks, silk stockings. So while they were standing up, we're taking their shoes and warming them up on the center thing. And finally we got to somewhere and come back to where we're not going any further than Tucson, Arizona, someplace. We landed and off we went. Well, that's why I met them. And then they wrote me and all I took him out to dinner and everything. I finally got back to the States, and I went to Baltimore. And his wife says, his mother answered the phone. She says, John Duffy's and his wife is here. He said, hey, you got married already? So anyway, down I come. He came down, and she came down first. She said, oh, you're the guy that took my husband over on the beach of Pearl Harbor. I said, I didn't take him. He went on his own. And then nothing happened. I said, oh, just, you know. Yeah, but he said, he shouldn't have done it. I said, well, he did it. It's over with. Forget it. So anyway, he become a good friend of mine. Yeah, he's got a place down in the Keys.
Hmm.
When I was down there, Ann and I used to visit with him and stay there and all. But Ann and her got along good after it got straightened out, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. There's that woman that took my husband out in Pearl Harbor. Got to get help or something.
I didn't come through the roof. I ain't dead.
Jump holes in the roof. Got on a transport out of San Diego.
Yeah.
As a water tender, first class. And there was like 7 of us in the boiler room. And the chief. And Ann came out. She came out on the train and stopped in San Diego with a friend of mine. And we went out and back and forth out to sea and come back, getting the ship ready to leave. And it was like around the 15th of December. And Ann come out and was staying with a friend of mine and his wife right down in Chula Vista. So we went to sea, back and forth, in and out. Finally, the 15th of December comes. We had our dinner together and all, and we're leaving 9 o'clock in the morning. So I told my buddy, I said, I got the one underway watch. I said, why don't you go up and watch when we clear to go out, you know, out into the ocean. Let me know how close we are. So he said, what do you want to know that for? I said, I'd just like to know. So anyway, he hollered down. He said, well, we're clearing Point Loma. I said, okay, watch the smokestack for me, will you? I'll give a 3 big blasts of black smoke. I mean. So anyway, went back to fire the boiler the way I was supposed to. And he said, when he come to the hatchway, he hollered down. He said, I seen what you did with all that black smoke. He said, but there ain't nobody up there can see it. I said, it's fogged in. Nobody gonna see it. I said, is it still fogged in? He said, yeah. So after we got out to sea, well, I cleared off, but it didn't do it. The women didn't get to see it.
They didn't
at
get
all.
to see it.
Ann and the other guy's wife. Yeah, we give it a blast of black smoke. No, some of those things you're not supposed to do, you know what I mean? You catch hell, even leaving a whipper of smoke.
Yeah.
So what? You're only going to do it once. Well, we got over, we went right straight over to Japan, Kobe, and we unloaded all the troops that we brought over, pulled out in the harbor, dropped the hooks. We're going to stay there 29 days, anchored right there offshore. Just work on the ship, do this, do that, the other. You get liberty, go on liberty if you can get it. And about 29 days, underway, go through at night, run through all the way over through the inland waterway over to Korea. Go over there, and if you brought over ammo for the different ships, you know, you unload that and stuff like that. And after you're there a while, and then they got tired of looking and seeing us over there. They sent us back to Japan and dropped the hook again. We did that for about 6 months. Finally, when we went up to the north side of Korea, and Truman told them to get the hell out of there, you're going to start a Third World War. They had enough of us. We come back to the States.
Yeah.
And Ann had already got a job with DuPont, so she was doing all right.
Now, about what year was that? That was 50, 52, 53?
51.
51.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't let us fight with any tools, any guns or anything. All you had to do is stand around and watch the other ones. One time they were going to let us all go on a landing craft and went on the beach. You had to have volunteers for that. I volunteered, what the hell? Better than sitting around. But then they canceled that out. They thought somebody going to get hurt or killed.